We are living in strange times. Perhaps more than ever before in our lifetimes, it is critically important that we stay connected to the divine, our souls, and to keep our energetic vibrations high. That can be incredibly hard to do in the face of the 24-hour news cycle, social media, and personal and relational division. But it is possible to raise your frequency in order to support and manifest good in your life and in the world. The Higher Vibrations meditation class with Cynthia Alice Anderson will meet online in June on Wednesday evenings. Higher Vibrations will focus on the transformation of low vibes, opening to peace, finding higher vibrations, and will give practical application for your life. You can drop in for a single Higher Vibrations class for just $15 or enroll in the entire class for the discounted rate of $45. Seating is limited and the Higher Vibration class starts soon, so enroll today at cynthiaaliceanderson.com/higher vibrations. Natural Awakenings Magazine and Zen Living Realty present The Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly show featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 102, Unexpected Income. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to The Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I am the host, and I'm here in 818 Studios with my producer.
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Croft. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 102 of The Authentic Spiritual Journey. And once again, Alice, I'm so happy to have you back in the studio.
I know. Back in the saddle again.
It's just, I don't know. It's like getting the band back together.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's been a full day of recording as well. Some of my classes are going to be up on different platforms. And once those become live, we'll let you know about them. But thank you for all your support and your love for all the work that I've been doing. And I tell you, I couldn't do it without Dave and his amazing work as producer and technician. So, yay, Dave. This is your standing ovation.
Thank
Woo!
you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So we're excited about today. And as always, I want to mention what's going on in the world, even though we typically, record a couple of weeks out. There's a lot going on in the world. And the temptation for me would be for me to try to speak to everything happening. It's too large a topic for me to do in a short podcast. And all of speaking on things like that, I usually do at CC Orlando. And I feel such a spiritual mandate to continue to give people tools to help them grow, to help them prosper, to help them evolve. So the way I'm helping the collective is by teaching spiritual principles that do just that and inspire people to be more. So I don't think my voice is needed on commentary right now on what's going on in the world. I think my voice is needed to continue to do the work I'm doing, and we're going to do just that today.
And what's amazing is, like last week's episode, The Change We Need, we had recorded several weeks before.
Yes.
And we're just trusting that when we sit down and when you feel a topic kind of effervescing in your spirit, that it's the right thing. And so we're going to keep doing that in light of everything kind of going on right now.
Exactly. And this topic is a direct result of hearing from people. The topic we're doing today is unexpected income. We started a 4-week series yesterday at CC Orlando, and tonight I'll be starting a class on that very topic. And the class, you've probably already heard an announcement about it. The class is only $1, and I'm doing that so that I can be of service. It's a wonderful way to be of service to teach this topic of unexpected income. I've heard from many, many people that all of a sudden the bottom dropped out of their financial picture. They had a great job, and have either had diminished hours or no job at all overnight. I've had calls from people as far away as Seattle and as close by as a couple streets over in Orlando for this very topic. So this is my effort to really support the greater whole and knowing more of its goodness. I also want to mention that we do have people all around the world joining us. So we love you, we bless you. And no matter where you live or what your situation right now, this show will help you. Our goal in every show is to reawaken consciousness to love, acceptance, and peace. And most definitely, this is about reawakening your own consciousness of abundance. So today is Unexpected Income. It began yesterday at CCU Orlando, and my class starts tonight. Yay.
Yeah. And if you missed the message from CCU Orlando, we will be dropping it in the feed on Wednesday, or you can hit the CCU Orlando YouTube page to find it. So sit tight. You can absolutely hear that message.
Right. And there will be principles you hear more than once. There might even be a story you hear more than once. I encourage you to tap into every one of those, because the more you hear stories of prosperity, of abundance, the more you can begin to integrate those principles and those stories into your own life and experience. I have just found over the years that one of the best ways to share prosperity principles is to share stories of abundance. I always feel if I can do it, I know you can do it. Because sometimes I tend to be a little bit of a slow learner on things. So I know if I can learn to manifest, especially at such a time, then you certainly can as well. And this is my goal for you. This is my goal for you for sure.
Yeah, I've definitely had, even before I knew that it was a principle, like a spiritual principle of unexpected income, I've definitely seen it, whether it's the form of a tithe or whether it's a form of there's just money in your account that you can't really account for, or just finding $20. I mean, it runs the gamut. Most recently, it is, during all of the lockdown and everything, is I've been waiting to kind of need to transfer money out of savings.
Uh-huh.
But I haven't had to.
Right. Like you keep thinking you're going to, you mean, and then it doesn't happen?
At the end of every month, I kind of look at the budget and I'm like, okay, how much do I need to shift out of savings to make sure that I'm covering mortgage and all of that stuff? And I just haven't needed to. And, losing money in gigs, losing money in like royalties and all of that. So it's not that the income has gotten more during this, even though we got like a stimulus check and all that, blah, blah. But it's this weird kind of loaves and fishes kind of situation where every month I look at it and I'm like, I don't have to do that. I don't have to move money out of savings because things are miraculously covered.
Right. Well, and I'm not trying to make you share, but I know that you tithe. Mm-hmm. That's a part of your spiritual practice. And as anybody who's listening to me long knows, I am a firm believer in tithing. I tithed on my stimulus check and was very happy and proud to do so, because that was, in fact, unexpected income. So if you've never heard of it, the idea with unexpected income is that you agree to tithe on whatever you receive that's unexpected. Now, I tithe on everything, and as a matter of fact, I love to say, I don't know if this is even the right way to say it, I overtithe. My son, who's 13, overtithes. That's how he talks about it. He goes, well, I've already overtithed. He is such a manifester. If I've ever seen it work, oh my goodness, in his life, the way this kid manifests. But, he's grown up around the idea that he is abundant, that the universe supports him, and that it is a spiritual mandate to give back to the place of our spiritual food. And he loves to give to our church, so friends, if you've never heard of unexpected income, the idea is that you make an agreement with yourself, not with me, but with yourself, with the universe, that whatever you receive that's unexpected, you'll tithe on. So when I first heard of this years ago, it was because a lot of people were not ready to tithe. They were not ready to give 10% of everything they received. And so the minister said, well, would you be willing to give 10% of anything unexpected? Well, people thought about that and said, well, I'm not expecting it, so it's all a gift, so yes. Well, I took that program and I took that thought, I should say, and made it a program. And I'm thrilled to offer it's a short pamphlet, very easy read on the 7 principles, and that's what we'll be covering in the course tonight and throughout the 4-week series at CCU. But that's the idea and that's why it's called unexpected income, is that you will give 10% to the place of your spiritual nourishment for the next however long you decide. And I would suggest you commit to it for 6 months. So the commitment would be, I commit 6 months to tithe on all unexpected income I receive to the place person, or institution where I receive my spiritual food.
Can you kind of color in what you mean by spiritual food?
Yes. So this is an important distinction because spiritual food means I've been reminded of the truth. I've been reminded who I really am and who God is. And a simple way to think of it is, what do I want more of? If I want to receive more spiritual food, I want to give to those places or people because those people and places inspire me. So many of you know I say this often. I give my tithe to CCU Orlando. I also tithe to individuals at times, but the bulk of my tithe goes to CCU because why? Well, I'm fed by the music program. Why? Because CCU Orlando has really made a stand for diversity and for love in the city of Orlando. I give to CCU Orlando because my son is spiritually lifted up in the kids program. And honestly, it would be enough what he receives as a reason to give. So even though I'm the senior minister, I'm giving to CCU because of what it means and what it stands for. And I'm fed by so many things. I'm fed by the staff members. I'm fed by the prayer chaplains. So I love to give to CCU. There are times where I've given to my spiritual teachers, to my my friend Edwin Gaines, who wrote 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. I've tithed to her many times. I've over-tithed, as I love to say. The word tithe actually means 1/10. And so the scriptures always say, to tithe or give 1/10 to the place of your spiritual nourishment. The first recorded tithe is in Genesis, where Abraham tithes to Melchizedek, his spiritual teacher. So what we know and what the stories tell us is when we tithe, we will prosper because it's like giving to God our first fruits. So spiritual food is different than charity in that there's an exchange. We receive and we give. We receive and we give in that way. So when we give to charity, which is a wonderful and valid place to give, we don't want to give our tithe there because it makes it seem like, oh, well, there's not enough to give to church and to charity. And I can assure you, friends, when you're tithing, it puts you in the flow of life. And I give, I can tell you the number of charities I give to in a year. And I'm not just meaning my clothes to Goodwill. I'm meaning hard-earned dollars, cashola, where I give to organizations, to people that I believe are making a difference. But that is not my tithe. So the tithe is reserved for your spirituality and your spiritual food, and that's where it needs to go.
Okay, quick question, just if this is okay.
I feel like I'm being interviewed. I'm being grilled. You've taken this grilling thing too far, Dave.
Let's say that the church has need for something. Like let's say they need a new building or they need a new paint job or need, recently, we needed new sound equipment and everything at the church. How does that kind of work in? Because that's not necessarily charity, but I've always been curious about that kind of thing. If I want to like repurpose my tithe that I give to the church towards a specific need of the church, you kind of understand what I'm asking?
Oh, well, I mean, I think you can direct. Well, the interesting thing about being in a ministry, and I've said this recently, actually, that we are both honored and spiritually obligated to use a tithe if it's directed for a specific place. So if we want to give our gift to, for instance, CC Orlando, and we're doing that because we've been spiritually fed there and we say, oh, there is a need, put it there. I certainly think that's in line with a tithe because we would have given to the institution anyway. I just think when you're giving to need only, then it's like saying, I want more need, right? So we want to acknowledge the first fruits of our tithe, to go to God or whatever God is for us or however we're reminded, of that. I'm sure there are people that from time to time have tithed in their 12-step meeting. I'm sure there's, I've tithed on occasion to a friend. I've tithed on occasion. One time, I tithed in a car wash because I had just received a check. I don't know, the check was about, it wasn't, huge, but let's say it was, I don't know, $250, $300 or something. And so the woman, it was so strange. She just kept being so like kind and joyful. And I said, you know what? I need to give you some money. And she said, what are you talking about? And she said, well, you've already paid me. I don't know what you're talking about. It was one of those kind of places where they like really detail it and everything. So it was really expensive already. And I said, no, this is not for the guys doing the car. This is for you. And she said, I don't understand. I said, well, I'm going to explain it to you. I teach tithing, and my mandate is I give to where I'm spiritually fed. And it just so happens today, I was spiritually fed waiting for my car. You had so much joy and so much happiness. And honestly, I just feel better being in here. And I said, evidently, I needed a lift today, and I didn't know it. So I gave her, I don't know, $25 or $30. It was like I'd given her $500. Right. She was so thrilled to receive that gift. And so I will do that from time to time. And I feel very honored to do it. And I have experienced people, friends, colleagues being very honored to receive it. So.
And what I like is about CC Orlando tithes back. Like as a musician, I've received tithes from CC Orlando,
Absolutely.
which then I turn around and tithe back. And so it creates this feedback loop of giving and gratitude and yeah.
Oh, yeah. CCU tithes 10% of all that we earn also off the top, not off the net, but of the gross. And we're very, very proud of that. We stay with the principle, which is who has spiritually fed our community. And at times, boy, the musicians have really gone over and above. So even though we pay the musicians every Sunday, we still love to give an extra gift or a tithe blessing to say thank you for feeding us. Because you and I both know, Dave, you can show up and play the gig. You can play the notes. You can read down the chart. But you guys give your hearts. You guys give your love, your support. If there's something you say, hey, yeah, we'll pray. You need us to play for free? So that inspires us. That causes us to remember the truth. So that's how, from time to time, we'll tithe to...
Yeah, not to mention all the volunteers and everything else.
Oh, yes. But rest assured, CCU does walk the talk in terms of tithing. And I believe it's why through so much change, we have managed to stay where we are. We've managed to put money in reserves during COVID-19, which that seems impossible, but we've really managed our finances. We started out the year, with a very reasonable budget. It was very conservative, and thank goodness we had made cuts, and we've been able to put some money back in reserves already. So we feel real honored and blessed to do that. So we know the principles work. All that to say, we know the principles work. Dave and I, in our personal lives, we tithe, the church tithes, and today, unexpected income is about agreeing with yourself, really, but making it, this is going to sound funny, making a deal with the universe.
That's biblical though. Malachi talks about God says, "Test me in this."
Test me in this. Absolutely right. And so, unexpected income tends to be a baby step towards tithing in on everything. But what I love about it as a practice, and even though I already tithe on everything, when I, about to teach this course, I was like, I need to make sure, am I being 100% in alignment with these principles? So it's always a check on yourself. And one of the practices, which I won't go into all the practices, otherwise you won't need to take the class, but one of the practices is noting and writing down everything you're receiving, or, if you're like Dave, you'll do an Excel spreadsheet, you won't write it down. But to make sure that everything that's received is tithed on. And the first year I started doing some of this work in extra income, I brought in over $22,000 extra income. Another year, no, maybe the first year it was $10,000, the next year it was $22,000. But anyway, ever since practicing these principles I'm giving, it's like we're talking 5 figures extra in a year. That pays for a car, that buys
down
insurance.
Payment for a house.
That's a down payment for a house. That gets my son the music lessons he needs. So when I talk about spiritual principles, it really matters to me that when you apply these to life, they make a difference. They help you change your life for the better. So this is what unexpected income is. It's you deciding that you're going to trust yourself and the universe enough to bring you something good, and when that good comes, that you're going to honor that receiving by giving back. It's usually it's going to come probably when you least expect it, but I want you to remember and make this commitment, and I would encourage you to make the commitment for 6 months, because it takes a while usually to have a shift in consciousness to start the flow going. So we live in an abundant universe, and we have to give to receive. So the way I'm teaching this, you actually, there are some steps for you to do, but you're going to start receiving probably before you imagined that you would. So in unexpected income, we are agreeing to tithe 10% on all we earn to our person, place, or institution where we receive our spiritual food. So we're going to talk more about that as we come back right after this.
We'll return to the program in just a few moments, but first, we wanted to give a special word of thanks to our podcast partner, Natural Awakenings Magazine of Central Florida, Greater Orlando. Each month, Natural Awakenings magazines across the country take a practical look at the latest natural approaches to nutrition, fitness, creative expression, personal growth, and sustainable living. Natural Awakenings magazine is a free publication and is available in selected stores, health and education centers, healing centers, public libraries, and wherever free publications are located. You could learn more, including advertising opportunities for your business, by calling 407-628-0705. We'd also like to extend our special thanks to Zen Living Realty. Zen Living Realty's mission is to mindfully serve, connect, and positively impact their customers, partners, and community through their Zen approach to real estate. Their vision is to be the most trusted real estate brokerage in the Central Florida area. You can reach Zen Living Realty at zenlivingrealty.com or call 407-800-2717. And now we return you to this week's episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey with your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Welcome back. We're glad you're with us. I'm so grateful, too, for the sponsors, that are a part of the show. And it's wonderful hearing news of success in their business because of their association with the show. Natural Awakening, Zen Living Magazine. I've also heard stories.
Or Zen Living Realty.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What did they say? Zen Living Magazine?
I would read that magazine.
Natural Awakenings Magazine and Zen Living Realty. And I was also thinking, too, that Unity of Nashville, is one of our sponsors, and several of the CCU members have gone to church up there, and they've heard, about his church, about Reverend John McClain's church, Unity of Nashville, through the show. So
yeah, and I would say if these are sponsors not just because they're giving us money or whatever. It's because we believe in these businesses. Natural Awakenings has been a longtime friend of the church, as well as the podcast channel, and Zen Living Realty is fantastic, and Ray and all those folks. And so if you do patronize these patronize, is that right? If you do want to give these businesses your business, then by all means let them know that you heard about them through us.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean anything. We don't get any extra kickback or anything.
No.
But it does help to know that it helps them to know that their sponsorship matters, and it is.
Yes,
it is effective. So,
well, we love helping people grow, prosper, and evolve, and we love when we can be a part of it in a spiritual way, and in another way, like I say, for people's business. So we feel honored to be able to support so many business leaders in our teaching, and it's always been that way for my ministry. I've supported business leaders from some of the biggest companies in the country, And what I find is that people on purpose want to really live these spiritual lives, and they want to bring spiritual principles into the workplace because it makes the workplace a place of safety, a place of connection, of support, collaboration.
Yeah, and if you can give your business to a company or a person who you know vibrates on the same frequency and who just resonates with the good that the universe has, then I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that?
Exactly. It's so wonderful. Well, today we are talking about unexpected income. So funny we would be highlighting our businesses. I just wanted to bring that to the forefront because I had just heard of yet another client, seeking out one of the businesses that sponsored us. But unexpected income, what's most important about the plan is your commitment to it. It's important to commit to 6 months. It's important to begin to move your consciousness, meaning your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, your ideas, to that of abundance. It's important to move your consciousness to that of abundance. The word consciousness, as I said, means your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, and your ideas. Why is this important? Well, when we feel out of the flow, that feeling distinctly impacts how we will receive. Our feelings and our thoughts combined is what makes manifestation. So your mind doesn't know any different from positive and negative in terms of manifestation, or I should say the universe doesn't know any different. If you have a positive thought and a positive feeling to manifest, if you have a negative thought and a negative feeling to manifest, they're all the same to the universe, except that when you are manifesting positive, it puts you in line with the universe, and in fact is like 100 times more powerful than negative. My point here is that if you are thinking negative thoughts over and over and over again, you will begin to manifest negativity. Now, you might be saying, well, I can tell you, I didn't think a negative thought when I lost my job. I wasn't thinking anything negative. I lost my job because COVID happened. I'm sure that's true on the conscious level, that you were not thinking you would lose your job, etc. But life happens. So there are things that are beyond our immediate control. And certainly I think we can all agree that COVID-19 was beyond our individual control. It was beyond us to control our jobs or not. However, remember, you are a conscious co-creator. If we were in church, I would say with me, I am a conscious co-creator. Together, I am a conscious co-creator. All right. This means I have the power to change my life for the better. It means I have the power to co-create something that I need, that I want, that I desire. It means I have the power to choose what I want to bring into my life. Having said that, does life happen and bring us challenge? Absolutely. So we don't minimize the challenge. But what happens is our mind usually gets stuck in what we don't have rather than in what we have. And so unexpected income is here to help you shift your perspective. This seems to be an ongoing topic for me over the last several months. I did a free Change Your Perspective workshop in the class I just talked about that's going to be on a new online platform. It was about shifting your perspective. And here again, shift your perspective. So I want to give you a couple stories that will help you understand what I mean. So years ago, when I was very ill, I went to the doctor, and I'd already been to 5 doctors. I won't go into the nitty gritty. That'll be in the healing show. But I 5 different doctors. Anyway, finally, I said to the last one, okay, you just don't know, do you? And the doctor said, I don't. I don't have a clue why you're so sick. So bottom line, I finally went to an alternative healer, and we did a very preliminary test. And immediately, she took me off a number of foods. And then at a later point, after more tests came back, I was off even more foods. I literally had pages of things I could not eat. So I immediately felt there was not enough. There was not enough food. I was going to be starving. This put me in such a low place. I had lost about, I'd lost about 50 pounds. I was down to, because I'd been real heavy at that time, and I had gotten real small. I'd gotten down to about 95 pounds. And they were very concerned that if something didn't change, I could be literally ready to make my passing. I was very sick. Well, when I saw those lists of foods, friends, I felt so helpless. I said, my God, there's nothing I can eat. Of course, there was something, but all I saw was what I couldn't eat. So I know you're starting to feel into this with me. Imagine looking in your refrigerator and everything in there had to be removed. Well, it sure looked like there was not enough at that time. So in my process, after I'd gotten rid of things I couldn't eat and slowly began to bring things into the home I could eat, one day I looked at my refrigerator and I said, you know what? There is enough. I know it doesn't feel like it, but there is enough. And so just shifting that perspective, I've never gone back. I have never gone back to that feeling that I had of, oh my God, there's not enough. Now, as I'm saying all this related to a deep-seated old childhood thing of not enough. So when I could see it in the realm of food, this helped my whole consciousness begin to heal this. The second place I've healed it is with money. There is enough. There is enough. But we have to change our perspective. We have to change our perspective of what is. So years ago, I had, committed to this unexpected income idea. I was really on the lookout for an unexpected blessing. I mean,
Your radar was
I
attuned.
was, all right, God, is this going to fall from the sky or what? I walked into my, I was in ministerial school, and I walked into my classroom, and on my desk, actually on all of our desks, was a little packet of seeds. And on the back was this little pocket, and somebody had put like a $10 bill in there. Well, my first thought was, I'm to use this, and I think it said on there for seed money. And I thought, I think what I need to do with this money is open up an account. Well, then I realized you can't open an account with $10. But I said, okay, Spirit, I'm asking for a sign. I'm definitely going to tithe on it. No question. Later that day, I go home, go to my mailbox, as I always did. I was running by the house before going into work, reached into the mailbox, and I pulled it out, and I noticed on the return address it said Unity of Anderson. Now, you all know my last name's Anderson, and it was a church in Anderson, Indiana. I said, well, this is strange. Well, what is this, So I open it. It's a letter and a check. And the church in Anderson, Indiana, which I had never heard of, decided they were going to start tithing to me every month, over $100 a month, for the rest of my ministerial school career. So, this had my attention.
What was their process? Just last name, or was it?
I called them. I said, you won't believe this. Plus, I was affirming all the way to school and all the way to work. I am prosperous. My life is abundant. God is my supply. Substance is my now. I was doing all this work in tithing and prosperity building and such as that. So I called them. I said, I got to ask, I said, first of all, I'm so grateful. I will write your ministry a thank you note. But I'd love to know how I was chosen, and tell me who I, need to give my gratitude to. And the woman said, well, I'll tell you what happened. The minister said, we had been tithing to a student, and they graduated. And so we called the school, and as we called the school, we said, well, we'd like to tithe to a student, and maybe even two. Can you give us the names of students you would recommend? Well, the assistant was so right. She said, oh, I can't recommend. you know, one student over the other. I mean, I'd like to, but frankly, I'll lose my job. That would really not be a good idea. And so the woman said, the minister said, why don't you do this? Why don't you read me the list of names? So who would be at the top? Cynthia Alice Anderson. She said, that's it.
So they got one name in.
And then she read the second one, and it happened to be Will Bowen, who at the time was my prayer partner. And so it was funny. We both got a check the same day, and we both knew each of us was working prosperity. So we didn't want to tell the other one because we didn't want the other one to feel bad. And we ended up telling each other and then laughing with our checks. Will went on. Will's been on Oprah. He wrote the book Complete Free World. So Will and I the same day received checks, and we were tied to for all of school. And what's so interesting about that too is that was a time where, because I started school, I took a pay cut of $15,000 a year from my paycheck because I was working part-time. And I was a little nervous about it because I was making less money and having more bills. Anybody know what that feels like right now? Yes.
Especially in school.
Especially in school, right? And of course, I didn't go into school completely debt-free, so you start thinking, my God, again, perspective is everything. So as I, looked at the finances, it was like, okay. Well, that same week, I'll tell you, I got so much prosperity that week. I learned that the church, even though I had to take a pay cut every month, I was going to receive a tithe in the amount of $500. So, because I didn't know, there was a policy that they tithe to all their ministerial school students. CC Orlando tithes also to all of our students because we're always spiritually fed by our students and all the ways they spiritually feed the ministry. It's part of our policy. So I said, okay, God is my source. God is my source. And so that really started me. I mean, that was all I needed for proof from the universe to continue to give to the place of my spiritual feeding. And I have always been able to pay every bill. I have always prospered. God is my source. And are there times still, let's say I have 3 or 4 bills that are unexpected. Do I sometimes go, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Yes, that's human. But then I go right back to the principles. And so far, everything's been paid. And I trust that. I trust that. But the most important part, friends, was my commitment to tithe on what was received and to really trust the universe at a higher level. And frankly, to trust myself. To make this arrangement, this deal with the universe, I had to trust myself enough to know when I got this money that I would give 10%. And what my agreement was, anything that I got unexpected, I would tithe 15% because I thought, this is all from God anyway. I didn't even know I was getting it. Now all of a sudden it's mine and I'm going to claim it, hold it, and not share it. No, that felt so punitive. So punitive. No. So when I get the money, I always say, what am I supposed to give? 10% or higher? And that's what I do. And that's what I give. Many, many times using these principles. I just did it a few months ago. I manifested $5,000 in 30 days. I manifested $10,000 in 30 days. And it's by following these principles that are inherent in the program I'm teaching tonight and at CC Orlando. The key thing for you to believe, for me to believe, is God loves me. God loves me. God wants what's best for me. And that the only reason I do not have is because I do not believe I am worthy. Because I'm not following the principles of abundance. When we believe we are worthy, when we hold ourselves in a new way, when we follow spiritual principle by giving back to the place of our spiritual feeding, the universe can support us. For the universe to support us, we have to be in alignment with spiritual principle. We have to follow what we love to call spiritual law. Spiritual law. People say, well, what if I don't believe it? Well, It helps if you believe it because you're combining your thoughts and your feelings. But I know most of us don't go around saying, I believe in gravity. We know gravity is. It's not like if I say, well, I don't believe in gravity, I don't float up to the ceiling and hit my head because, well, I have to believe in it. Well, that's kind of the same with spiritual law. It is the same. So if there's a spiritual law in place, if we don't follow it, there are consequences. There are consequences. God's not doing anything to us. It's like the universe was set up this way. When we receive, we have to give. When we receive, we have to give. That's a part of the cycle. It's often called the law of cause and effect. It's often called the law of giving. We're calling it the law of tithing. It's all the same law. The law of cause and effect. As you give, so too shall you receive. In the scriptures it said, also, it is done unto you as you believe. Give, and it will be given you. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Judged, and you will be judged. This is the universe that we operate in. So pretending that this doesn't exist doesn't keep the law from being active. But believing in it, trusting in it, aligning with it will definitely move your life forward, will definitely put you in harmony with the whole universe. Unexpected income is a thought away, a belief away, a practice away. There are going to be some practices we're going to study each week. And one of them is, I love to talk about, is simply going to be about making space to receive. Making space to receive. So I want to encourage you, dear friend, to really notice, what is your perspective right now? How are you looking at money? How are you looking at love? How are you looking at life? Is there enough for you, or is everybody taking your good? Think about that. Think about how you can be more engaged, more active in what it is you're trying to bring about on planet Earth. Think about your perspective about what there is. Remember, God loves you. God wants what's best for you. If somehow you're not receiving, you're the only one standing in your own way. God loves us. God supports us. Remembering, life happens. There are things that happen that we do not have control over, but we have control on how we respond. We have control on what we give our energy to. And this is how we become a powerful co-creator. So, friend, I'm glad you joined us for today's show. Unexpected income is going to be fun for us to do together. I'm going to see you lifted and supported during this time. I'm going to see you blessed and prospered, knowing God loves you. So we always pray for you for God's highest and best in your life. Thank you for joining us today. Many blessings.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey presented by Natural Awakenings Magazine and Zen Living Realty. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is also made possible through the continued support of our angel patrons, Dove Borland, Peter Gibson, Paul Caswell, Arlene Meyer, Kathy and Terry, Marcia Mott, Nora Miles, Diana Cox, Leslie Williams, Susanna Garcia, Shayla Mount, Dorothy Moore, Aggie Payton, Taryn Tucker, and Anna Evans. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2020 Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.